And it's Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio at the Navy League in New York City. And I have a chance to talk to our speaker today, Rear Admiral Michael Manazir. And Admiral, you gave a fascinating talk today about how the Navy is improving its technology in this era of fast growth. You started out talking about some of the threats the Navy is dealing with on the seabed, in space, with some of the adversary countries around the world and the choke points that the Navy's got to protect. What are some of the threats that the Navy is really working on to protect?
Well, thanks for the question. It actually is a competition for resources. It's a competition in our environment to be able to innovate faster than our potential adversaries. And so as the Navy's mission is to work between the seabed and space, from the littorals out to the deep water, we have to be aware of where those conflict points would be. For instance, our exploration has shown throughout the world that there are lots of deposits of polymetallic sulfides, like metals, copper, zinc, gold, and silver, that exist within 200 miles of various coastlines. So while there are hurdles to getting those, technological, environmental, legal hurdles to getting those, that performs a place for where we would need to compete for resources. Undersea cables, 95% of the United States information flows, on those undersea cables, and so we have to protect those undersea cables. Space, the high terrain, is a frontier, a domain that we have to control up there as well. 7% of our information flows through space, and so as we think about future conflicts with our competitors, so whether you think of high-end warfare, or whether you think about sort of this tense peace where we're kind of at each other's toes and competing in the maritime environment, the Navy has to understand where those conflict points are.
And Admiral, you've had an extraordinary career as a naval aviator, a fighter pilot, commander of the USS Nimitz. What are some of the ways that naval aviation is improving its technology, giving pilots more assets in their mission?
So the difference between the Tomcat I flew in the mid-'80s and the F-35 that we're building now is the amount of information that the pilot gets in the cockpit. Fifth generation warfare is informationized warfare. Before, we bought platforms. We bought specific platforms that did specific things. We designed them that way. Now what we're doing is not just platforms, but more capability, networked capabilities. How better to put those platforms together to achieve the effects we're trying to achieve. If I have a nominal kill chain where I'm trying to create an effect on a target using my weapon system, if I could connect a bunch of kill chains into what we would call a kill web, and I can share information amongst various ways to make an effect on that system, that's the kind of technology that I want to go after.
And we're all concerned certainly about cyber defense. I spent some time with the Army on that, and you mentioned today a little bit of the concept about how to protect systems today in the military.
So first of all, you have to design your system to be cyber safe. We use that term sometimes. If you don't design your system from the outset to understand that you could have an attack service inside of your system, whether it's a system as simple as an engine on a ship, or a high-end information system that would give you targeting, you have to be able to protect that. You design it from the outset to be able to do that. You can't just put barriers and firewalls upon firewalls upon firewalls. We already know that doesn't work in our homes, and so we obviously know it's not going to work with defense systems with high-end actors out there. And so what we like to do is build in our capabilities so that if somebody gets inside the network, you can still fight it while fighting them inside your network. So being able to design those systems to be able to do that. We do lots of penetration testing, red teaming, and various ways to understand whether our system is strong or not. And we assume that we're going to have a cyber threat, and so we build our systems with that assumption in place.
There must be a lot of opportunities for young sailors, young officers who have backgrounds in information technology to really jump in on all of these needs. What are some of the job descriptions and opportunities for members of the Navy to work on these information-intensive projects?
So in the Navy, information warfare is going to be more and more and more important. Doing what we used to value platforms and missiles as kinetic effects. Non-kinetic effects are getting more and more important to us, and so our Navy officers and enlisted who are versed in information technology and information protection are going to be more highly. We're going to need more of them. We are training midshipmen at the Naval Academy in cyber. We have created cyber teams in the Navy to learn more high-end capabilities, defensive and offensive. We have a huge draw for information technologists and information professionals to be able to work on the networks. I will tell you that we're not fully tapping into the potential of the generation out there that grew up digitally. And so we're learning how to encapsulate or capture those people to be able to allow them to work on the systems. We, in the United States Navy, we even value the really good ideas from the junior sailor. And we want to value those ideas, put them in place, and learn from people who have grown up that way. We're working on that very hard.
Admiral, you've had a distinguished career from the mid-1980s on. What have been some of the best stops for you in your military career in the Navy?
Well, flying for me has always been a passion, and so to get to do that as my job is unbelievable. I will tell you the number one tour that I've had, and I think the best job in the galaxy, was being the commanding officer of USS Nimitz, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. It's very hard to get through the process to get to that point. There are several selections there, and I feel humbled and lucky that I was able to command Nimitz for 30 months. That professional and personal reward of being the commanding officer of a large displacement nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, where literally when you take that ship into a region, you change the balance of power, and that display of American prowess was just phenomenal. And being able to command those 5,000 people that were on there and to be able to take those folks into combat zone stuff was just very, very rewarding. And my entire career, I've had great things. Even my jobs at the Pentagon are very rewarding. It's frustrating to work there, but when you figure out a way to work the system to get what the nation needs, especially in naval air, it gets to be quite rewarding and challenging at the same time.
Admiral, on behalf of all of us at the American Legion, thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you, sir. This is wonderful today.
Great to see you. This is Ken Kraetzer at the Navy League in New York City.